everybody. We're live. We're live today. Hi.
Yay!
And we're so excited. We're drinking local with our special guest, wine and Jennifer Nelson. Say
Cheers.
hello, Jennifer.
Here's to
Hey,
you.
Jennifer.
So I am Sarita. You can find me at Vine Me Up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, Snapchat, everywhere. And you can tweet the Swirl Suite at the Swirl Suite on Twitter if you're watching along with us. But if we can do a few introductions, just so everybody introduces themselves, that'd be awesome. We'll start with Melissa.
All right, Miss Sarita. Hi, I'm Melissa Davis Taylor, you otherwise known as the Liquor Lady. You can find me Facebook, Liquor Lady 000, Twitter, Liquor_Lady, Instagram at the Liquor Lady.
Leslie.
Hi, I'm Leslie. I'm sorry, I almost lost the voice for a second. And I am with Vino 301, which I'm so excited about this topic because it's right up my alley.
Yeah.
I am all things Maryland wine. Vino 301.
Woo! Cheers.
Talk about a plug.
Exactly. Yeah, I won't mention Vino 301 again, but I am excited to be here and discuss local because I really believe in supporting local businesses regardless if it's wine or food or just supporting the people in your neighborhood.
Cool.
I guess it's my
Jennifer.
turn. Hi, everyone. My name is Glen Hill. I'm at vinonoir.com. I am a wine blogger / wine educator / wine loving individual. I'm very excited this evening to be discussing local wines and hoping to learn even more about local wines with our dear guest this evening. So again, you can find me at Vino_Noir, Noire, on Twitter and on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook at Vino_Noir as well, or Irie Wine. And here's to local Virginia wines tonight.
Yay.
Woohoo.
And Jennifer, so I'm Jennifer. I'm going to put you on the spot. Please introduce yourself, and I want you to start with all those nice little facts that you have on that piece of paper there.
All the facts, the whole page? Okay, some of the facts.
I'm Jennifer Nelson. I'm at Wine Antics on Twitter. I'm www.wineantics.com on the web. I blog, I periscope, I tell the stories, I mess up a lot, love to drink wine, love local wines. All of these facts, we could go over them with time. I think it's probably better because I got a little insight into both of the industries, one from the Maryland Wine Association and Rebecca Dulka, as well as Grow and Fortify, which is the outside external brand that kind of hosts wine, beer, and spirits in Maryland, and then also from Annette Boyd at the wine marketing office. So a lot of good facts, and I think that it would be a little bit better maybe if I interplay them in what we talk about, because if we go with start with Maryland, then go to DC and go to Virginia, I can throw some stuff out there. So many. Cool. So responsive, so great of these ladies to kind of give me some info so I can pass it on to you ladies and the audience.
Cool. Well, can we start with the Maryland wine expert, Leslie Freelow? Leslie, please tell us what you're drinking tonight, and how many wineries are in Maryland?
I am glad you asked that question. You had to lean in for that one.
All right, Cheryl.
Approximately, and the reason why I say approximately, there are about 74 vineyards in wineries in the state of Maryland, and the reason why I say that is because there are a number of them that have requests for permits, so there should be more that are opening up soon.
Wow.
And not all of them are open to the public. Some of them are still by appointment only, or they just do local distribution. So when you go and you go to the Maryland Winery website, you may not see all of them because they're not all open to the public. So tonight I am very, very pleased to showcase a new Maryland winery.
Dogwood.
Yes, this is the vineyard at Dogwood. And this, when I say new, they just opened last week, 2 weeks ago, to us to bring a group there. Very small boutique winery located in Chestertown, Maryland, which is on the Eastern Shore.
Oh, okay.
So the Eastern Shore terroir is much different from the rest of the state, and they have to deal with some of the elevation issues that the rest of the state doesn't have to deal with. So what I'm having tonight is known as their Dogwood Crush, and it is a blend of Chambourcin and Merlot. It really is yummy and tasty, and those are two very distinctive grapes that you don't normally see blended together. And it's funny because Chambourcin, Maryland, and Virginia have claimed those as their local grapes, as the French hybrid grape. But they do a very good job. On their first batch out, they've been planting vines for, I would say, the past 4 years now, and they're ready to show to the public. They're all estate grown, so you're not going to see a big lot from them at all. Maybe, I would say maybe 200-300 cases, not a lot at all. They really want to stay small and boutique-y. But I would give them a try. And they only have, which is interesting because most places that just open up, they only have 2 whites, and the rest of their portfolio are red wines, which is usually the reverse. You see mostly white wines in new wineries.
What are their whites?
They have a Cayuga white.
Oh, okay.
And it's actually made in a very dry style, which is interesting because especially in this area you will see more semi-dries for Cayuga. So this is a dry one.
Yeah. They have a lot of Cayuga in New York.
Yeah.
I was going to say that was the first place I had
So where do you buy Dogwood now? Do you have to be at the winery, or have they started kind of shipping to local stores?
They have not started shipping to local stores, but you can go online and purchase the wine from them, which is most Maryland wineries are doing that. They don't have a large distribution, so you can always go on their website and purchase.
Nice. Very cool.
Okay.
Well.
There's one other thing that I do want to plug for the local wine. Is the Maryland Passport. And just a couple of weeks ago, they had the Maryland Passport, which lists most of the wineries in the state of Maryland. And they had the Passport experience where you paid $25 and you had access to the wineries that were participating in the tastings. So you didn't have to pay the tasting fees at each place you went to. And there were like 25 wineries participating for $25, so you do the math, it was a great bargain. But you can still get the Passport now, and when you go to the wineries, have them stamp your passport and then register with the Maryland Wine Association, and you get advanced news and little tchotchkes and discounts on events that they have. So it's definitely a bargain.
Very cool. So question, if I wanted to take a group on a Maryland wine tour, like, what do I do? Do I just email you or go to your website?
Very good question, Sarita.
You are just bringing them tonight, Sarita. I would say you can go to our website. We have Maryland wine tours all year long. Or if you have like a group of interesting women that we have here and you want to do a private tour, you can just email us and we just do private group tours.
Huh. Very nice.
Cool.
Very cool. So, who wants to go next? Don't jump all at once.
I was going to say, I will go for a totally different reason. I am not drinking wine tonight, but I will start since Leslie sort of brought it up. Everybody's got to have their copy of their Virginia map. Because in Virginia, what is it now? I think about 250 wineries in the state.
Yeah.
I think we've got about 15 cideries. There's some meaderies popping up. You name it, we've got it. I actually went to a local meadery and had honey wine the other day. Different flavors. It was super cool experience. So, but I decided I was drinking Legend Brown Ale. And I'm in Virginia, so I broke your rules, Sarita. Not quite DC to Delaware, but I threw in my Richmond. But Legend is actually Legend is kind of the oldest craft brewery, largest here in Richmond. So they've been around since 1994. So that was kind of before craft was really hot, especially here. I think in the state there are 143 craft breweries now. So it's really taken off here in Virginia. And I will say, so I said affectionately on Twitter that I am drinking dessert from Legend. Think toasted nuts, caramel, molasses, chocolate. It reminds me, ironically enough, of like kind of a porter or a stout, and that's how I started drinking craft beer. I know, Jen, we had that conversation earlier. And what I really want would be like a carrot cake cupcake or a slice of carrot cake right now too, because these two would go amazingly well together. So, yep, that's what I'm drinking, a Legend Brown Ale tonight.
Wow.
Cheers.
Awesome.
Ooh, that's my turn. Hi.
Get it, Glennis.
Well, you know what? I guess I missed the memo. I didn't know I was supposed to go from Delaware to DC only.
Well, that's Virginia is all in.
Yeah.
Okay, good, because that's what I'm drinking, everyone. So, hello, everyone, and hopefully you can see this is 2013 Norton from Norton Vineyards. It's a grape that was named after, I think his name is Dennis Horton? Dennis Norton. This always gets, it's very confusing because Norton is named after the scientist who was crossbreeding vines for Thomas Jefferson. And this particular grape or varietal grows very well in the soils in that mid-Atlantic region of Virginia, Richmond area. It is also affectionately known as Virginia's claret.
Yep.
And it's very interesting because because of the terroir, it takes totally different than, say, a Francis Ford Coppola claret. This particular claret, and this one has aged a little bit, but this particular claret, right off the bat, on the nose and on the palate, yummy. I could get my cocoa without having to eat some chocolate and gave all those extra calories, and that's what I save my calories for my libations.
Cheers. Cheers to that.
Yes. It is full of, you get some real rich plums, tart cherries on this. You have, of course, I particularly find, I taste cedar. Other folks may not taste cedar, but everybody's individual palate is different. So I get a little cedar off of this. Interesting fun fact about this particular wine by Horton. It was almost extinct. And after 50 some odd years, 56-ish, 50 some odd years after Prohibition, it made its appearance back in America. It was almost gone altogether. So here's to, what's his name? I can't. Dennis Norton, I think it's no. Dennis Horton is the owner of the vineyard, and I do have his name, so I'm gonna stop trying to Daniel Norton is who the grape and the wine is actually, the varietal is named after. So here's to Dennis and Daniel, Horton and Norton. Yum.
That's right. I will actually never forget that now.
Exactly.
Horton and Norton.
Yes, exactly. So please look it up. I mean, there's a lot more to the history behind Dennis Horton's vineyard. He has a lot of varietals. They even have a pinotage, which I wish I could have found because that's one of my favorite. I consider it old apartheid. Could come out during an old world under an old world terminology. So it's a new world wine, native to South Africa. But I love pinotage, and they have all Cabernet, pretty much most of the varietals. Viognier, which is very classic for that particular area as well.
So I might have missed it, Glennis. What part of Virginia is Horton in? Sort of like Northern Virginia, or do you know offhand?
Hold on, it's in Gordonsville.
Oh,
So
okay.
look at your map and help me out exactly where that is. 'Cause it's on Spotswood Trail in Gordonsville.
One moment.
See, we are prepared.
I mean, they make it big.
We tag team off of each other. So actually, it has 93% Norton and 7% Touriga National.
I think it's down by the Charlottesville area.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I had to finally flip it over and do the cheat sheet because let's see, Gordonsville, G5. That's how many wineries we have in Virginia.
Yeah.
And while she's looking, I paired it tonight with some leftovers from E&V Italian restaurant in New Jersey, which was, I had a spicy, actually I had lobster fra diavolo.
Ooh.
This pairs very well with spicy food, game, and things of that nature. So it was really good together.
Yum.
Well, I would say outside of Charlottesville, I can't tell how far though, but kind of west and south.
Yes.
So while you're enjoying that map, I can let you know of one of the fun facts that I learned in doing all of this research. That lovely map is going away in the next 3 years.
Really?
Yeah.
They sent me a whole box of these when I got married.
I know.
That's why.
They are very gradually phasing it out over the next 3 years. The board convened on it, they passed it, so it'll be gone by, 2019.
So what are they replacing it with? Did they say?
No, they're not replacing it with anything hard copy. Everything is going digital. They have a great online map right now that's already existing, so they're just going to continue to market that, ramp that up. But I'm kind of sad because I look forward to that, like, every year to get that new pamphlet and, like, put it up on my wall and dream about all the wineries I might visit.
Well, I think it's funny that you say that though, but like I was in Kroger today of all places, and that's where I picked it up. Even though I have them at home, I think it's great for like a regular average wine drinker to be in their grocery store, see the local regional section, and then be able to pick up a map. That it's going to be hard to drive those folks to a website.
Exactly.
Don't forget, like, all the little trails have their own maps. So this one's for Monticello.
Yep.
And then Loudoun County puts out one that has all of the interesting things for touring the county, and they've really emphasized the wine. So the good chunk of the Northern Virginia wineries, and that's like 150 plus of the 255 are in the northern area.
Wow.
82 of them really being close within the DC area.
Mhm.
So, yeah. Even though the map's going away, I think that we just have to seek out these a little bit more and go really by trail, because what is it, like 6 AVAs now in Virginia?
Yep.
Wow.
Hey, Melissa, you're going to have to save
I lost you a little bit.
me one of the. I said you're gonna have to save me one of those maps because
Oh yes, ma'am. You can have 3 or
maps gonna
4.
be worth something.
That's right. You can have a few. They went in the gift bags at my wedding.
Oh yeah. Side eye.
I was trying to find one for tonight because of that fact, and I'm like, well, crap, I think I've given them all away because it's like the first thing I grab. I grab one for me and then like one for all my friends. I was like,
Yep.
yeah, I think I gave it away. Damn.
I'll keep you one too, Jen.
So, Jen, you're next, and I actually have a question before you get into what you're drinking and everything. I don't think I know the story of how you got into wine altogether, and specifically, how did you get so wrapped up in local wine?
Oh, well, thank you for my website plug. So, so actually the story is written on my blog, and it's all under the title of Getting Bit, and getting bit by the wine bug.
Mm-hmm.
So I was working at the Pentagon, actually, and what is it, what's the wine school that's over there? The
Washington Wine Academy.
Wine school, Wine Academy, correct. And I kind of looked at their courses and decided to just pick one of them, knowing very little about what any of the courses meant. So, of course, instead of picking like WSET2, I go straight to the Certified Specialist of Wine. Because that's more like what I want to learn.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. They were running a Christmas special, so they had actually cut the price pretty nicely, and it made it worth it. You know, ever since then, I haven't looked back, and that was probably about, I think, 4 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, it gave me all of this knowledge, really detailed chemistry, winemaking knowledge, and the only way that I could bring it into me and like let it saturate me was to get into the industry and get out there and do harvest, get out there and do wine tasting events, do anything that I could. And luckily in Maryland, there were a lot of people willing to let me volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
So I just asked, and I asked a lot of people, a whole lot of people. I ended up doing, I think I ended up working for like 15 different wineries at different wine events, or harvesting, or helping with bottling. It was an amazing experience. I'm living in Virginia now, so I haven't been able to translate that to Virginia quite yet, but I'll get there. I also eventually worked my way up to doing a couple of the wine competitions. And I worked with Sarita with one of them, and I'm sure Leslie knows all about them because it really changes over the years it's changed the dynamic in Maryland and really putting a lot of brands on the map. Big Corp, for example, this year exploded because they won Governor's Cup this past year, and I love doing that. I will continue to do that as long as I can. And then the Maryland Wine Festival, always a good time, a culmination of the year. So many good wineries come out, and I love working. I've worked the VIP tent there a couple years now, and I hope to continue to do that. And then now I've got enough to say in a blog. I've got enough to come out here and talk to you lovely ladies and act like I know what I'm talking about. Since that, the fitful 6 weeks 4 years ago, walking over from the Pentagon where I used to work, I've gone back and I've done the WSET2 and I've done the WSET3. I don't know if I'll go for the diploma. I don't know if I'll go back through the Certified Specialist of Wine because I did not pass that test. I will say that. I'm not even going to lie because I can't fake that funk. So let's move on to what I'm actually drinking. Anyway, so I am drinking Maryland as well, and Maryland wine. So I recently did a Periscope out at Port of Leonardtown Winery, which is down in St. Mary's County. Lauren, the new winemaker there, doesn't quite have her vintage out. Everything is in the barrels, it's in the tanks, but she did share with me one of her favorites, and she brought it for me at another event that we did at Calvert Brewing Company. There you go, Calvert Brewing Company. So many words. So this is their 5th anniversary red, small bottle, half of a 750 milliliter. I think it's just small production, and so they wanted to spread it out, and they generated this bottle. The retail is about $19 even for this size. She told me that it's a conglomerate of like 12 different wines or varietals, and that's very easy to understand because they're a co-op. So they're getting grapes from all over southern Maryland. And I thoroughly enjoy it. It's got some maturity on it. I taste the smoke. I did a little review on Vivino, so if anybody would like to go check on that. Beautiful coloring, a little high on the alcohol, some more acidity than I expected, but really holds true to the maturity in it with the smokiness and some baking spices, some cloves. So I'm really digging it. And from everybody else's conversation, I had to bust the bubble of the map. I'm sorry about that. I'm so glad you brought up the Horton. Number one, I will always think of Norton from Horton, and it sounds like a Dr. Seuss book.
It does. Horton Hears a Who.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say it.
That's what I thought.
It's catchy. It helps you to remember it. Horton was actually...
Must say, nobody else can use that because it was first said here on the Swirl Suite. If it's not associated with this Swirl Suite and Wine Antics, you are forbidden or prohibited from using the terminology.
There you go.
But Horton was actually one of the first wineries that I tasted, and they used to do, or I don't know if they do or don't anymore. They do a Niagara, which is like the sweetest wine that they produce out there. And I'll tell you my roots. I mean, they're good, but my roots are in sweet wine, and that's where I started with Rieslings and Niagaras, and then I just, palate changes over time. I'm a perfect example of that. And for Leslie, the Chamberson, which she's so right about Maryland wine, it's like coined their grape. It grows really well in Virginia too. I think Virginia's tried to separate themselves from that grape, but it does so well. So I was out at Calvert Brewing Company. They are making some beer in some Chamberson barrels. Now, I know, I love it. So Calvert Brewing Company is actually connected to Running Hare Winery in Southern Maryland. Yeah. So this is their extension. They're trying to get into the beer market, and they've separated the facilities. They have a farm brewing down in Prince Frederick, and then they have a huge production facility up in Upper Marlboro. And I did a tour through there. They have a production setup to rival like Dogfish Head.
Oh wow!
It is huge. It's intense, and that's where they want to go. They want to grow. They want to be regionally recognized, and they're setting up everything they need to do it right now. Not waiting for the notoriety and the need to be there. They have it in place.
Wow!
So it was an amazing thing. I'm gonna put the video together, and I'm gonna have it on my website so you could see Matt, the head brewer, walk us through the whole process. He did such a great job.
Oh wow!
Cool.
That's awesome. Wow.
So, Sarita, what do you have for us tonight?
Okay. So I went to Virginia.
Oh. Does it bubble? Does it bubble?
No, it's not a bubble. However, me and a girlfriend share a wine club at Green Hill Winery.
Ooh.
Only because they make the best Blanc de Blanc that I've probably had in the area. So, Green Hill Winery is owned by David Greenhill. He's ex-military, ex-Yale graduate, always loved wine, so I think he's done working. He just wanted to open up a winery, and boom, he did it. And the thing that made Greenhill stand out, just going to different wineries, was he likes horses, so there's a horse stable on the property, and now you can go for a horse and carriage ride with your wine. Okay, is that genius? Is that not genius?
Where is this again, Miss Serena?
So this has been a great.
Open up the map. Open up the map.
Y'all are killing me with this map here.
What county is it in? I got the little louder one.
Green Hill is in Middleburg, Virginia.
Oh.
So it's close to Chrysalis and all that cluster of wineries. But they make a really good Chardonnay, and this is what they make their Blanc de Blanc, guys. Blanc de Blanc means 100% Chardonnay. But
you said you didn't have any questions for tonight. I mean,
so this is what I'm drinking today. But I wanted to, I guess, transition into like the different breweries, distilleries that are closer to the city. I actually live near, probably maybe 15 minutes from 2 distilleries. Green Hat and 1-8 are like 15 minutes away. And of course, she's got her bottle of Green Hat, because how could you
and
not?
I love 1-8 too.
Green Hat gin. Is that gin? Is that the gin?
That's the gin.
You probably know more about Green Hat than I do, and 1-8. So if you got any little facts, but yeah, so I live really close to there, and also there are 2 breweries. Wait, 3. It's 3.
I was getting ready to say, you can't forget my favorite.
Yeah.
What? Which one? DC Brow?
Brow.
So it's DC Brow. There's one called Bardo. Bardo is outside. So when the weather is nice, yeah, they have beers on tap, and their whole, well, no, they have a little building that's inside. But anyway, they're known for having things outside. You can bring your dog, and you can sit, and it's right on Bladensburg Road. I mean, it's so random. It's so random. And they have this big stall that's made of beer cans. So, yeah, it was weird. We were riding down Bladensburg Road, going home, actually, and it was a Sunday afternoon. It was a nice day. And I was like, is that a big-ass skull? Like, what is that? What is that? And I was like, wait.
Where on Bladensburg? Do you know the cross street on Bladensburg?
It's like you're heading towards New York Avenue, but hold on, I can tell you. But yeah, so anyway, we made a U-turn, of course, when Alan saw that it was a brewery.
Of
course.
Yeah, and they have a beer called Mary and Berry, and it's made with berry. So yeah, it's yeah, it was very cool.
Is it made with Marion berries?
Wow.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, so it's 1200 Bladensburg Road Northeast. Okay. And it's really, it's hard to miss. It's not too far from the Denny's on Bladensburg Road, if you're familiar with that area.
Yes.
Anyway, so yeah, so you got Bardo, and then what's the other one? Atlas Brewery.
Atlas.
Yeah, that's pretty famous. And they're inside, they're indoors, and they're pretty cool too. I really wish I liked beer. I really do.
I'm telling you, start with the porters and the stouts. But I will say, so if you're looking for experience, I'll pick up where Sarita left off. Sure. So Green Hat, it's all about like the man in the green hat. It goes back to Prohibition days. And I won't read you the story, but it's on the side of the bottle. A beautiful package, beautiful website, and they have the most fun bottling parties. So you can sign up to volunteer. They play music on records, and you go in and you help label and bottle.
That's so fun.
It's a ton of fun.
You get free gin after that?
Yeah, you can, you know, don't tell anybody, but yeah, it's DC, so you can have like some cocktails while you're doing it, so it's really fun.
Okay.
So Green Hat and then 1-8, they're both very close together, kind of down near, I'm gonna say like where Dream Nightclub was, like near Oakland Street.
Yeah.
But 1-8, I just went there, gosh, maybe a month or so ago.
Yeah.
They've been open for just over a year. Their packaging is phenomenal.
It is.
It's really good. And the guys, like Alex is their master kind of distiller. He walked like myself and a friend of mine through the whole back room. They make a vodka. They make gin. They make kind of whiskey. So they've got this great tasting room. You can rent out the space. So, and they've got a whole long bar. So it's it's a beautiful space. Their products are really good. I was really surprised at the diversity of products for a brewery that's only been open for a year. They got a lot of their equipment actually from Koval. So Koval in Chicago was upgrading their equipment, and they bought some of that equipment from Koval. So, I mean, obviously tried and true, tested stills and things like that. But both, I mean, they're what, half a mile apart, and it is certainly worth going to both. They're really good experiences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's a new, it looks like it's a brewery, opening up on New York Avenue, right where the mom is.
I don't know. There's some new distilleries.
That whole area they have plans for. It's going to be like a town center.
Yeah.
So is a brewery going there too?
Yeah, it's right on the corner when you drive down New York Avenue. It's in that same area where the Nike shop is. Yeah. Mom.
Wow.
And you can see the tanks.
Oh, wow.
So that's why I was wondering if this was the same place. It must be.
No, it's not. Wow.
Yeah.
No. There's the only one I knew about, there's like a new district distillery. I can't remember where that one's going in at, but it's going to be new.
I tried to find out the number of distilleries and breweries in the city, and I couldn't narrow it down because there's so many, because they're like breweries,
there's a new
restaurants, and there's just like all over the place, and they're popping up all over the place.
There's at least one new one in the last like 60 days, and then there's another one coming. I want to say Navy Yard kind of coming. There's so many. I mean, it's just, I was trying to make a list one day, and there are just so many coming.
Yeah, I agree.
So of all the research that I was getting into, the only information I got about distilleries is from Maryland. And apparently Frederick is the place to watch out for in Maryland. They have, in the next couple months, they're going to have about 5 different distilleries. Right now, there's one that just popped up within like the last couple weeks, and 3 more have licenses. They just stood up the Distillers Guild in Maryland under Grow and Fortify. When they started out a year and a half ago, they had 5 distilleries in Maryland. Now they're at 11, and they have 9 more that are in the permit process.
Wow.
But definitely Frederick is the place to go. I thought it was Baltimore. Like, I keep hearing about all the spirits coming out of Baltimore.
Yeah.
And I was completely, I was like, Rebecca was like, nope, go to Frederick.
No, I agree. I was going to say, I think Twin Valley was one of the first ones down in Montgomery County. Those guys were phenomenal, but they were saying the same thing. The growth is kind of north of Gaither, or north of Germantown, kind of direction. So I was actually surprised too, but Maryland is really getting in the game when it comes to distilleries.
Well, I think it's interesting because the wineries, wine is a big investment, and so the wineries are starting to branch off and have a distillery, or are they making beer? I think the interesting thing is the laws have not caught up with them yet.
No. That would be Maryland.
Yes, it would be.
That would be Maryland.
That's almost,
exasperation.
If they once the laws catch up, I think you will see even more of a boom because you can't serve the wine and the other spirit under the same
license. Right.
Yeah, but it's not just Maryland. Even when you talk spirits in Virginia, there's this whole, I can't pour you more than a half an ounce of each one. Like, you can't have more than an ounce and a half. And, there's some laws. They're trying to change a lot of the laws on the books, even from a restaurant perspective, having to have, 75% food sales or something. I mean, they're just working on a ton of the laws where it touches wine, beer, and spirits. So
Virginia seemed to have been more liberal than Maryland initially for getting wines to the actual consumer outside the
they have so much
area. Because Maryland still had a lot of old Prohibition laws on the books that they had to initially get off before you can start shipping wines to yourself and mailing wines to yourself. And outside of it being a boutique winery shipping to you.
And it's so
So
funny.
it's interesting how economics have become the driver.
Yeah.
If they
Yes.
want to compete in the
Sorry, the
market.
internet and I aren't talking right now.
Hmm.
So,
Who was that?
Internet and I aren't talking right now, I guess.
that was
My computer don't
my
talk.
new surface.
I was like, if my computer talks to me, I am going to close it and keep going.
Right?
It's funny because I was reading, I've been reading a lot about Prohibition lately, and they were pretty much saying that DC, Prohibition started in DC before any other area, because it's DC, the nation's capital, and they had to be an example for everybody else.
Mhm.
But there were probably a lot more speakeasies in this one city,
That's funny.
Per capita.
and they drank the most. Even the congressmen were finding the speakeasies, buying the moonshine, and they were going to find a way to get their liquor. They were going to find a way to drink. So
Corruption at its earliest form.
What was it? I was reading the history of Maryland, and I think it was around the time of Prohibition. Even though they couldn't buy alcohol, they could grow so much fruit that
Yep.
could
Oh,
be
wow.
produced into wine as long as it was on the homestead.
Yep.
So what some people had done was actually tied grapes to trees and said they had grapevines so that they could justify having wine in their home.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's brilliant when you think about it.
Used for medicinal purposes too, right? I think that was one of the ways that they got around the prohibition laws being used for medicinal purposes.
Kind of like the ramp up of marijuana.
Yeah.
Right. Well, so Sarita, if you didn't come with questions, I know I talked to you about this earlier. I wanted to get your all's, if you're open to a question, get your all's perspective on local and what it means to you, because I've been so struggling with this, kind of the hyper, not even craft breweries, but hyper local breweries, local distilleries, like especially when it comes to a wine perspective. What do you guys consider local? Like, is there a radius? Is it all within the state? I'm just wondering if it's different, beer, wine, and spirits, and how we define local.
That's a very good question.
Oh no, you go ahead.
Okay. I would define local as, from a wine perspective, all in the grapes. If you are sourcing locally, your product is local. I mean, each state has their different percentages. When I go to a winery, I always ask, what is estate bottled? What are you growing on site? If you're not growing it on site, where are you getting it from? Is it all in your region, or is it all in the state? Is it from Central Valley, California? Because if if I'm going to pay the small batch prices on a bottle of wine, I want to know I'm paying for that local product, and I'm helping all of the local industry, not only the wineries but the vineyards as well.
That's interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
That's a very interesting perspective, because a lot of these, I know a couple of labels in particular made by local people but sourced from
California.
California.
Yeah. Yeah.
To answer your question, Melissa, from my perspective, drinking local, or as it relates to wine, I would say DC, Maryland, and Virginia. DC really not being. I just always think DMV, but more so with wine being Virginia and Maryland.
Okay, so like 100-mile radius or something like that.
Pretty much.
Okay.
But I agree with everything Jen said, because that's so very true. Because you really do have to dig, analyze or ask questions to find out where the fruit is coming from, or as the
And we knows how to ask questions. Can I tell you how I met her? I met her like within the year of learning all about wine. I was at the Decanter Wine Festival, and I was pouring Romano's wine. and she grilled me. Not just up, but up and down and up and down. She grilled me so hard on that wine, asking me, "Is it a state? Where are you sourcing from?" So she knows what it means to be local.
Go ahead, Swirl Smith sister. Go ahead.
Now that you mention it, I do love you, Jen. And I have to give a plug for my favorite Maryland vineyard, Old Westminster, because, oh my gosh, at that particular wine event, that's where I stood in front of the old Drew and the Old Westminster label and just drank everything. I said, okay, just start again. Okay, let's just start again. Alvarino, it was just freaking phenomenal. And that's a good, I can't find Old Westminster in the stores around here.
Nah, you're not going to.
I'm like, okay. This exercise, Drew, you will be happy to know, has made me move towards, okay, I got to get on to become a wine club member. Wine in my life, in my little cellar. Okay. I digress. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
No, you're fine, but you're making, I mean, I think it's an interesting, because I struggle on the spirit side with local because, I think of local kind of as 100 miles, somewhere in that general vicinity. But then, like, when I was at 1-8, they were like, yeah, we're getting corn from Virginia, and we're getting, they were getting their ingredients and everything from the area. And I'm like, yeah, okay, they're not sourcing from Indiana. They're not getting kind of bulk whiskey and then aging it in barrels. So, I mean, I think there are different levels to local. Yeah. But I think, dovetailing to what you guys were saying about what's in the stores, I was so, I went to a couple different stores today, and I have to be honest, I was so disappointed at the local, regional offering.
Yes.
I was just like, man, they're making it hard for me to support local business because I can't even get it. And I don't. Yeah. And I don't want to wait, a week for shipping, or I don't want to have to drive to the outskirts of Charlottesville. And I just, I wish there was this magical store that opened up and only had local beer, wine, and spirits in it. It would make my life really simple. Somebody please do that. Anybody?
And speaking of, Leslie, can you please tell them about the Maryland Wine Bar?
Yes, thank you.
Sure.
The Maryland Wine Bar sells only local wine.
Where is it?
The problem is it's on the Eastern Shore.
Oh, see what I mean?
Yeah, but it is, and I think part of the reason is the industry itself, and especially in Maryland, it is starting to get the support from the state, but for a long time, and even now, people will say, "Oh, Maryland makes wine," or they'll say, "Ha, Maryland makes that's good."
Right.
And so now the state is realizing that this is not just nice to have, but it's commerce, it's tourism, and it's making money for them. And so there is a greater investment in helping, and that's why I think not only because Virginia is growing, but Maryland is growing, because it's easier to start one of these businesses in the state. Yeah. And so I think the next frontier is the distribution and bringing them to the stores. And I know whenever I go to a wine store, a fine wine store, and I always go to the local section, and if I don't see something that is a little more diversified, I always ask for the manager and say, I think you need to try this or try that. And then I go back and I'm like, did you try it?
Leslie, the consultant.
But also wine, like area wine, local wine that's popular, you put that in the shop, it's off the shelves.
Yeah.
Just like that. Because guess what? If I like the wine, I ain't got to drive 90 miles to get it. In the store. So it goes fast. It goes really, really fast if it's a good bottle of wine.
Yeah, and especially if they only have 6 bottles of it to start with. They only got in 6.
Right.
Or even if you have a wine shop that is only like putting out local wines, which I have the luxury of having. I don't have an independent wine shop here, short of Total Wine, but I have a shop that just specializes in Virginia wines.
Wow.
Get that. But like I love Barrel Oak wines. Their reds have come up over the last 6 years that I've been going out there. They can't get a hold of it because Barrel Oak doesn't need to distribute.
Yeah, that's true.
Selling at the cellar door.
Yep.
So there's really a very fine margin in what kind of local products you're getting at the distribution level.
That's a great point, Jen. That's a really great point. There are a lot of wineries, distilleries, breweries that are literally selling everything out of their own door.
Yeah.
You know, doing a little bit of shipping on their own, and they never need, just because of the size of the business, they don't need store distribution.
But we haven't talked about what I thought was really great when I went to look for a local wine, that the Maryland wines and the local wines in this area were at a very good price point. I did see, because this particular one was like between $13 and $15. I also picked up some port, but that I was like, okay, I had to remind myself that I'm there for a particular reason. I have no self-control when I go. Oh my God!
I want to come to your house, Glennis. I'm coming to your house.
Oh my gosh! But what I found was interesting is that the Black Ankle
Oh gosh.
was the highest priced Maryland wine in the local Montgomery County
Wow.
liquor, beer, and wine shop. It was like $35 to $40. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go right here and get the Horton. Yeah, there we go.
I mean, actually, because I worked at Black Ankle for so many years, I mean, the grapes are hand-picked 10 times a year. You got to pay for that work. You got to pay for that labor. You know what I mean? And they're 100% estate. They grow everything right there. I don't know what other wineries do and how other wineries grow their grapes, but being there on that soil and seeing all that work, 365, days a year, it's like, okay, all right, I get it. I get it.
Wow.
And I have seen other places, and not to just come to the defense of Black Ankle, because we go there.
Matter of fact, you took me there, Leslie.
There's a place that has a $65 bottle of Cab.
What?
And so, which asks the question, if it was not a local wine, would you?
I'm shaking my head already.
I have.
Would you pay for it?
I have. I have some in there now.
I want to answer that question. It depends on the experience. Okay, first of all, I wouldn't buy that wine in a shop. I need to know what exactly my $65 is going to. If I go there and I'm treated like VIP from the from the jump, and I just have a wonderful experience there, you may get me to pay $65 for wine. And the wine is good, maybe, but it's all about the experience. But me just walking in a wine shop like, oh, $65? Yeah, probably not.
No. I will be the first one to tell y'all I am a value shopper. Even when seriously, like my Legend was $4.99 for my big format bottle. And the reason I did that, there was another wine, I can't think of the name, it was made in Leon, Virginia, but it was kind of like in that $8.50, $9 range. And I was like, you know what? But I know my Legend is tried and true at $5, and I don't know this wine. But I agree with Sarita, the only way I'm going to pay, and it won't be $65, but the only way I'm going to pay north of $30 at this point, because there's so much good wine under $30.
Yes.
The only way I'm going to do it is if I am at the winery, at the distillery, at the brewery, and just having an amazing experience.
Exactly.
And especially if it's bubbles. Now, I might go a little higher if it's bubbles because,
Thank you.
I got a soft spot.
And that brings up a good point. I'm always interested in at what price point people are willing to pay for, number one, the experience at a winery, because you are paying for the experience. And number two, that small production, because one of the articles I read talked about the things that you are doing wrong in a tasting room, not leaving that tasting room without a bottle. Now, I've been to some Virginia wineries, and it's sitting at about the $25 to $28 price point, and unless it wows me, I'm not walking out with it. It's like mine is $20. I will make that decision because I know mid-range wine will sell about $20 at the winery.
Yep.
So I wanted to know what you ladies think about that.
Yeah, that's very interesting because, as Leslie knows, I'm a Cabernet Sauvignon girl. And the big Cabernet houses in California, I have had the experience, but the wine made the experience for me. Now, don't get me wrong, y'all, you ladies know me. If I get the side eye and I don't feel they treat me right, I don't care how much the wine, because it could be given it away. And I don't want it. But I have never been to the Chapelet, the Quintessa, the Palmas, big Cabernet houses, and been treated badly because they know their price points are 50 and above.
Right.
So they need to be rolling out the red carpet. So it's all, so I have paid 50 and above for a bottle of wine, but I kind of sleep with some of those Cabernets. I was like, oh, this is okay.
But no, Glennis, you were making an important point because my value is different if it's in California, if it's in France, if it's, depending on where I am, it does, am I going to be able to pick this up at a local store? But when I'm thinking about a local product, it's a little different.
Right. Yes, that's very true. That's very true. But like you said at the end of your conversation a little earlier, bubbles can get up there and can become a little pricey sometimes. Yeah. And you're like, oh yeah, for certain rosés,
but they're good. They are so good.
Hey.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's a happy morning.
We almost done over here, Tanisha.
How you doing,
this
girl?
is what happens when you forget about daylight savings time. We didn't, so I forgot about that thing. When I set my alarm, I'm like, oh no, it'll be 2, it's fine. So no, y'all actually started at 1:30, not 2:30. So.
oh,
Hey.
tell us who you are.
Hey now. So.
Tanisha's gonna be our after show.
What was the question? Because we can ask Tanisha now. I mean, she's in Paris, so.
Before we start, Jen had her question. She was asking about price points.
And what you're willing to spend.
Like
Okay.
at a local winery, what's your threshold for, giving into a local product, especially if you don't find it so great. Like there's a lot of wineries out there that are pushing that $25 price point, and to me, I know what I can get out in California. I know what I can get for $25 out in California, and I kind of hold it to that. Is that wrong of me to be like, I know what quality is, and I'm not quite there with $25.
Right.
No, that's like normal. Like, no, that's perfectly fine. I've actually become much worse now that I live here because 25, I'm buying like Dom Perignon. Like I'm getting, the wine. I'm not really spending more than like 10, and that's if I feel like I'm really trying to do something big. If I'm spending 10 on a bottle,
You better not come back here then.
Right.
I know. I can't. When I come for the holiday, when I was home for Christmas, I was like, how much does this cost? 12 a glass. Oh my God. Why is it so expensive? This is ridiculous. I can't, but have mercy. This is so much.
Okay, so I have a question. So we, I think we all agreed that we would spend more on a bottle if our experience is heightened at a winery. Now, I think I've read, and you told me that customer service is slightly different in Europe. So,
Oh God, yeah.
so, but how does that translate to the wineries? Is the winery customer service pretty much the same? Is it just like, oh, you're in Paris, you see the views, you're drinking the wine, that's pretty much what you get? Is that, you know what I mean? Is
I didn't get that when I was in.
no.
Talk about
That,
Paris. I was talking about
that
the south of France. Go ahead, Tanisha.
yeah. So that's tough when you think about wineries. Like, I don't have the same experience when I'm in wineries. So when I've been in wineries in, Burgundy and Cahors and outside, it's like when you go to wineries, like these people, we're talking, it's more country, like more on the countryside and not so city, and also not Parisian. So when you're talking about people outside of Paris, like the game changes. People are always like nicer and
Oh, okay.
and more welcoming. So, there's that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just curious.
Yay.
Curious.
Well, in south of France, I had a very great experience in Narbonne at since we're talking France now, which I love. Tanisha, okay, I digress. Get it.
Local to Tanisha.
I know, it's local for today. It's all relative.
Right, it's local for Tanisha, like Gerard Bertrand's estate.
Oh my God, I'm so obsessed with it.
Oh, me too. Me too. I mean, you're talking experience. It was a jazz. They were having a Friday jazz evening wine dinner in one of their restaurants. We stayed on the property. Got a wine tour because Matthew Stubbs, who was the master of wine, who recommended a place called the Head Force. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, give me that. Give me that. Yeah, I got my bill when I got back to the States, but I got caught up in the experience. So,
Caught up in the moment.
yes.
I'm telling you.
Gotcha.
I'm telling you. I wish we had, I hate to say this, I wish we had similar experiences here locally. And maybe I'm just not going to the right places, but I wish I could have sort of that Napa experience, that Willamette Valley experience, and I don't know, it's not just being away from home. There's something about the hospitality that is different that I wish we could import, because I would pay more for the very same wine if I was getting that unbelievable kind of destination experience.
Yeah.
Well, apparently there's just not enough competition in Virginia.
Good point.
Because the only place I've been in California is northern Sonoma. So I went from Healdsburg and went up through Dry Creek Valley. And you could throw a stone at one winery and then throw across the street and get another one. That's competition. And that doesn't happen in Virginia. I mean, maybe down in Charlottesville, there's pockets that are close together, maybe 5 of them or so. But if you're talking about in Loudoun County, you may get 5 that are pocketed together within, like 5 miles or 10 miles. And it's even worse in Maryland. I mean, Black Ankle is the best place that you can pocket wineries together, because you get Elk Run, you get Serpent Ridge, you get Black Ankle and Old Westminster. And Leslie can preach to this because she knows she's got to mess with the transportation in that.
Thanks, Les.
So when
It was fun. It was my first time.
What was that?
So I said it was fun. It was my first time experiencing them.
Oh.
But yeah, so competition, and they're gonna have to fight for the experience. I mean, there's some. I don't know if any of you have been to the winery at LaGrange in Virginia.
I've had the wine. I haven't been there though.
So their tasting fee is like $15.
What?
Why?
Stick a fork in me, done.
I said I had one, and I'm asking you why.
I mean,
Right.
I know of one that is 20.
Like, girl, why? I sway, huh?
Wait. Leslie, you said what? 25 for what winery?
One $25.
In Maryland.
To taste.
Shut up. Where?
It's a vineyard at Dalvin. It's a horse farm in Davidsonville. It's a beautiful place. You get the full experience. They greet you with a sparkling. They walk you through it. You're not standing at a bar
Do you get to ride the horse complimentary?
With your picture on the label, like that's what you.
I'm like, dang. I mean, I get the greeting you with bubbles, but that's kind of the experience I'm hoping to import in Napa. It's free to take.
Right?
Greet me with bubbles, like I could just go home and the refrigerator greets me with bubbles. Like, are you kidding?
But they do that, and I asked them.
Wow.
I asked them about that, and they only want to attract
certain
clientele.
Yeah. And that's all right. They're doing it for a marketing purpose. Like, they are doing it to be exclusive.
Yes.
That's all right. At least they've thought it through. That's all I can ask of any winery to think about, or any distillery or brewery for that matter, to think about what your tasting fee is relative to what you want people to buy, and just make sure those things are in line.
So
but I just wonder, even if you do think that through, like, it, depending on your location, is that something that like necessarily matches up? You know, like I want a circle of clientele. Is that the clientele that's coming out there? Do you have enough of that type of clientele to sustain your business? Or
they're still
hear about the tasting fees free, or tasting fees $25, and you get a bottle, you know, pick a bottle of wine and take home with you.
Right. Well, I mean, they're still in business, so I can only assume something's working for them. But yeah, I mean, that's a hefty East Coast tasting fee.
Yeah, and if your tasting fee is $25, what is your price per bottle? Like, what's your price?
Oh yeah, this is not your $17 bottle.
This is like a $100 bottle of wine, $80 bottle of wine.
They're averaging about $30 a bottle.
Oh, that's all. I thought it was going to be higher than that for sure.
So they're going by the restaurant rule. The tasting covers the entire bottle.
Now, I will say, hearing that, though, that doesn't make any sense to me. The $30 bottle of wine for the $25 tasting fee, that don't make no sense. I was like, it's got to be an $80 to $100 bottle of wine.
Right. That's what I thought, like, sure, you get like a coupon or something to get some money off of, you know.
That's all right. We're going to be Swirl Suite consultants shortly.
Yeah. Girl, call them your card, Melissa.
It's by appointment only. And
it has to be.
Well, I gotta call you in advance to spend my $25.
Yes, they are not open to the public. It is by appointment only.
Wow. Wait,
so they're not open. It's $25. You're not open. No one's coming. So it's probably always an appointment.
Wait, Leslie. So how does that work when you take your tours there? You have to bump up your price because you're paying the $25 per head. Am I asking too much, or is this?
No. I don't take my tours there.
I was just about to say, you take I was going to say that in the after show. Like, girl, why are you taking your tours there?
Well, I mean, it's a gorgeous place. Great place. But no.
But, Leslie, but would you, if you got a request, one, and two, I was going to wait to ask a couple of these questions off air. Is the wine worth it?
Oh, yeah, you can answer that off air, though. Yeah.
That was a good question.
The question I had, as soon as you mentioned this, that was the only question that ever popped in my head.
So those are the two questions that, you know, old people got to say what they think.
We'll let you answer off air, Leslie.
Here we go.
Okay.
So while we're talking about Virginia and California and the differences, a couple other, or at least one other interesting fact I got. I don't know if you guys remember back in 2013, the governor Bob McDonnell out of Virginia actually put out that Chateau Morissette in Virginia is distributing out to. You got a shirt on? Oh.
Oh my God.
She's got the bottle.
One of those two.
Do what y'all do. I can't stand up.
So they're distributing internationally to China. And I got really interested in that. Apparently, under his directive, not only were they trying to push Virginia as a whole, push the wine industry to China, but to Japan and California.
Yep.
Which, when I went out to California and I talked Virginia wines and Maryland wines, they looked at me like I had 6 heads. Apparently, there's only 2 wineries in Virginia that are distributing out to California, and she didn't talk anymore about China or Japan when I asked the question, and that's Foggy Ridge Ciders and Delaware. Store shelf?
On a shelf back there. Well, I went and got a bunch of local bottles.
What was the other one? What was the other one that didn't come across?
So Foggy Ridge Ciders and Barbersville.
Barbersville.
Okay. I understand.
So
Okay.
they're out, and
Okay.
that's in line with the fact that 95% of Virginia wine is drank local. Kind of like what Tanisha is experiencing in France when she's talking about, I'm spending a lot of money at $10.
Right.
You are spoiled by French table wine, which never makes it out here.
So I will say, to piggyback on what Jen was saying, so sorry I got so excited. This is Star Dog from Chateau Morissette.
Oh, nice.
We went there on our honeymoon. So we stopped at Chateau Morissette, and then we went on to Primlin for our honeymoon. So it's kind of near and dear to my heart. But yes, they do distribute sort of internationally. But I was actually talking to a gentleman, I'll let his distillery remain nameless, but he's getting some state incentives, some city incentives to start distribution to Asia as well. So it was kind of interesting that you said that and sort of that Asia connection, because I do think there's something there about trying to get Virginia products out there internationally and sort of supporting that. So.
Well, there's Chinese companies that own multiple vineyards in Virginia, so why wouldn't they share that experience that they're having here with Virginia wines and want to push it out to their native countries? And, you know, in my marketing classes, because I focus everything that I do in it with the wine industry, that's the biggest growth sector that you talk about when you're talking about wine, both indigenously and from an export from New World, Old World kind of export to China perspective.
Yep. So I have a really crazy question. So what I've been reading about China and wine is that they see it as a symbol of success and not actually drinking the wine. People are collecting bottles that cost tens and thousands and more.
Gifting and collecting.
And they're not drinking the wine, which annoys me. And I know it's great for their market. It's great for whatever wine that they're collecting. But are we going to get to a place where they're going to start shipping, you know, Virginia wine there, and it's going to cost like $10,000? Like, oh, you can't get Virginia wine in China. You know, are we going to get to that place?
Well, just think about China and the way that they think about luxury items, all the way from the iPhone to their bottles of wine. When I don't know this because I couldn't get Chateau Morissette to actually pin this down, but I'm pretty sure that Chateau Morissette changed their brand label to appear to be accepted in the Chinese culture. The iPhone, the gold iPhones, the really high luxury kind of iPhones were marketed towards the Chinese market because they see status in a different way. Very gold and very opulent, very shiny. And so, yeah, unfortunately, a lot of things, luxury commodities there are a status symbol, and until they get an indigenous understanding of a wine culture, I think it's going to stay that way, because I'm pretty sure in country they hear of other people like Chinese investors buying up wineries in France or chateaus in France. I hear about that all the time.
Because I've watched the documentary Red Obsession a couple of times now, and one of the quotes was, you know, Chinese people, if they see a nail sticking out, they're going to nail it to the ground. Like, so that's why they all have the same haircuts. They wear the same clothes. If they see something they like, they're going to stick with it and run it through the ground. And I hope that that's not what happens with wine. That's all I want to say.
Well, let's get in there.
Pick me. I'm going to take the conversation to another side of what the Chinese do.
Okay.
And that's the knockoff.
That's true.
Good at garnering all this information, taking it, and being able to spin it into a knockoff. Luxury items, pocketbooks, wine. There have been cases in the news where they have been changing, well, marketing or selling bottles of wine as these $1,000 bottles, and that wasn't the case. They just changed the labels. If I had a regular bottle of whatever, who knows?
That is, it's a
And
huge
put a
problem.
picture, label on it and tried to auction it off at Sotheby's as thousands of dollars. So I'm kind of skeptical about. Well, what you've all said is totally true about them. Taking it and running with it, buying up everything, being luxury. But when it comes to wine, if it's coming out of China, I'm like this.
Yeah, it's a tough thing in the industry in general, just the counterfeits, even from when you're exporting from the US into certain parts of Asia, just what's counterfeit, what's not. I don't know. I'm not sold, but I'll be interested in what happens in 10 years, because I think there will be an evolution, at least on the spirit side from a China perspective, beyond Scotch and high-end whiskey, and I'll just be interested to where that evolves to, so to speak. And the same in the wine side. Some of famous Asian basketball players and starlets and things like that starting their own wineries in China. So I'll just be interested in how our trends, do they make it to Asia?
Oh yeah. Right.
So.
And you know what also is going to be interesting? It might be a swirl sweet topic, how to spot counterfeit wines. Are there some new technologies that come up that keep that keep consumers, that assist consumers from buying counterfeit wines?
Let's call Sotheby's.
So because I know they were talking about making labels with these embedded or coated
chip things.
Chips in their labels or in the wrappers themselves. So it shall be interesting to see how it evolves.
Wow.
Yeah, because they actually have one of the I think she's an MS and an MW now, but she works with the FBI helping them with counterfeit wine.
Wow.
And she's one of the people who helped the guy Rudy Kerner. I can't pronounce his last name.
Rudy
He got caught for all of his counterfeit wine shenanigans. She helped out with that whole case. I followed that kind of closely when I was teaching my luxury wine class, because that's something we spent a session on counterfeit wine and counterfeit spirit and how that happens. And I think the latest stat was out of China. It was such a problem because I think 1 in 4 wines were counterfeit.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is a huge problem. And then also trying to figure out how to fix it. Because in the case with this, just like with, a lot of things, laws are very, the crime has to happen for a while before the laws catch up. So, if you ever have been at a wine tasting where they've had some expensive wines, if you look at the empty bottles, you'll probably see they either rip the label off or they scratch the label out, because people would take these old bottles and then use those old bottles to put just any old kind of thing in them. So a lot of restaurants have been told or, implored to scratch out the label, pull the label off, put marker on it so you can't use that label again. Nobody will go through their trash or go through their recycle bin and grab those bottles.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. So I know. I know we digressed from local just a bit.
Yeah. So back to local, right? That's far away. So
I would invite you, ladies.
Anybody live there? Know anybody there?
Nope.
Try anything?
I was gonna say I would invite you guys down. I am starting to do distillery crawls and cocktail crawls here in Richmond. So we're gonna start out doing walking tours. So if you are interested, my first one's gonna be in Scott's Edition. So we are going to hit a whiskey distillery. We're going to hit a sort of a growlers to go, multiple Virginia wines, and then we're going to hit a meadery. Throw in some popsicles, all that kind of fun stuff. I'm going to see if we can do alcohol popsicles. But so I'll keep you ladies posted. But definitely, if you're interested in delving into kind of local Richmond drinks and eats, that might be of interest. And I know, Leslie, you've got a ton going on when it comes to kind of local Maryland stuff too. So
I'm very interested. I'm only like an hour and a half away from you. So.
Let's do it.
Yeah. You need to do some more scopes anyway.
Well, yeah, and we'll be going to Charlottesville pretty soon too. We're gonna do the whole driving thing because I had a great experience out in Charlottesville. And just there's a brewery 2 blocks from a winery, down the street from a cidery. I mean, it's just a really great experience. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we gotta broaden our horizons.
Does anybody else have anything going on they want to share?
Oh, yeah.
I do.
She's like, since you asked.
All right, like wait, leaving. I feel like this is a handoff. Like anybody. Leslie.
So we are partnering with the Wine and Food Festivals. And so the Wine and Food Festival at National Harbor is April 23rd and 24th.
Ooh.
We are also doing the Baltimore Wine and Food Festival in May, and then lastly we are doing Great Grapes. And so we are selling the VIP tickets as well as providing transportation.
Okay. I was gonna say, by doing exactly, what do you mean for the people in the cheap seats in the back?
Right. So you get the advance entry into the Wine and Food Festival.
Yes.
You don't have to stand in line with the commoners.
Hey,
And then you also get the VIP tents and additional tastings. Not just the wine tasting, but also the food tasting.
Excellent.
That's
cool.
Yes.
Nice.
And where can we find this information?
Oh,
Find
thank you.
And she did the hand up.
Right, Vino301.com. Information.
Vino301.com. Boom, boom.
Jen, you got anything?
I wanted to thank you guys for kind of putting me in touch with the wine mistress of the wine suite. What I'm not really sure of what her Twitter name is at this moment, but I think we're gonna do a blab.
Cool.
Actually, which will be my first time giving that outlet a try. So keep up for the Twitter updates on that. Yay! I talking about distribution. I read an article about SLO, slow down wines, out of California. The winemaker made a very bold statement and put his phone number on his labels, and he says, "If you like my product or you dislike my product, call me."
Wow.
I have his product, so I'm going to taste it, and I'm going to call him.
Nice.
Are you gonna tell us what you're gonna say or no?
All right, girl.
That's a whole different Periscope section.
Or is that the off-air conversation along with Leslie answering her question?
Jen, please Periscope your tasting and calling experience.
Yes, I will. And
I don't know. It go right, it might go left real quick, but
no, I'm not going to be mean about it. I'm not, there's a darn good chance that it made it out to the East Coast, that it's a good product. Okay, so I'm just gonna, I want to see if he's actually gonna pick up the phone. That's more than anything.
All right.
I just want to see that. And the only other thing that I didn't get to talk about on my little cheat sheet of fun facts was varietals. We didn't even talk about what local wine varietals do you think is popular in Virginia and in Maryland. And one other quick thing. Beers in Maryland may supersede wineries in Maryland very quickly. That one little fact, and then so what do you think are the good varietals that people are drinking or the states are producing here in Maryland and here in Virginia?
Norton from Horton.
I was going to say, I'm a fan of Norton. Like, I really like.
Sorry. Viognier, Virginia, and Maryland, all the way.
That too.
Cab Franc.
Okay, I was going to say Cab Franc.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's the new
There we go.
the new wine in Maryland.
Yep.
Really? So, from a popular opinion perspective, in Maryland, people are talking actually Petit Verdot
Okay.
Ooh.
at Albarino.
Albarino, wow.
I didn't even think that was on the radar, but okay.
Wow.
Is it because they were Governor Cup's winners?
Exactly.
That's why they won Governor Cup.
Yep. Making
Oh. We need to find these people. Oh my goodness.
Now, if we're talking about actual production in Virginia, you guys hit it on the head, at least with Cab Franc. Cab Franc is the most widely grown grape in Virginia, and then complemented with Chardonnay, though Viognier is definitely very popular in both states, and I know that because people always talk about it.
Yeah. No Norton from Horton. I'm kind of upset about that.
Norton's growing.
I mean, I learned something today, and I was hoping Norton would be on your list.
No, Norton is very popular with Horton because they're in cahoots to make a Dr. Seuss.
Well, I wasn't sure because I ran into Norton when I was in Kentucky. It was a grape that they used in Kentucky too, so I didn't know if it was extra popular in Virginia or if it was a Southern thing. So.
Well,
Norton grows well in the West because Missouri is a really good Norton as well. Norton grows well in the Midwest. They use their grape.
Okay.
Interesting. Huh.
Cool.
I didn't know that.
That was good.
Well.
it's the noble grape of Virginia, believe it or not.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. Did you have anything, Miss Glennis?
Oh yes. Thanks to Tanisha.
Wait,
Girl Gloss. I had to pull it up, so that's why I was glad y'all didn't get to me. It's the Quebec, the wine festival at the Marietta House. I will be doing some wine talks at 2:30, 4:30, and 6:30 in one of their wine tents, Maryland Wines. Marietta House has this wine festival as a fundraiser. What's interesting, I didn't know, a past Supreme Court justice used to live in this house that turned into this museum that is now part of the national parks, that's on the National Parks Registry. And they have local wineries, food, things of that nature. So I'm following in the footsteps of my dear.
What's the date? What's the date?
Yeah.
May 14th.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Yes, May 14th, and the tent is set up, or the wine talks. The event is from 1 to 7, and she said, "Well, you can stay the whole time, or you could do 1 or 2 wine talks." And you know me, I was like, "So, who's bringing the wines?"
Sounds just like you, Glennis.
Well, you know, I was like, "What?" She said, "Well, let me tell you, it's mostly sweet wines." I said, "Oh, really?" So, yeah, send me the list, and yeah, I can find nice things to say. So it's gonna be fun. Stacy's looking forward to it, and thanks for the recommendation or reference there.
Good job, Tanisha.
Oh, because she's and herself.
Cool. Well,
So, I think that brings us to a close. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us. Wine Antics, Jen Nelson, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yes. And guys, get out there and drink local. You know where your money is going into the wine. You know, drinking local builds like a little small community. So it's awesome. So drink local. Cheers.
Yes.
cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.